Fine.
Hello everyone, I'm Iki Ali.
I'm Sai Ali, and we're Brothers
Brothers Ali.
Ali. And today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man.
Across the Spider-Verse. Hello, post-production Iki here. So, I made the dumb mistake of turning on a noise reduction effect on OBS for the recording of this review. So, some words gonna get muffled. So, for example, if I say, or my brother said, so we will come as Thor, and then when my brother says, whip, as on my shirt, it doesn't come out at all because it's just noise to the filter. So, that's too bad. So, I have to do what I can in post to fix that. So, if it sounds jarring or annoying, forgive me. It's my fault. So, we're not going to do that again. So, back to the review.
Right.
Alright, so this sequel to Into the Spider-Verse is directed by the trio of Joaquim Dos Santos, Cap Powers, and Justin K. Thompson, written by the minds behind Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and I think the Lego movies, among other things, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller.
Alright.
Yes.
I didn't
Alright.
know any of that.
Yes, now you know. Now you know your mind is
Oh
blown.
God, 3 directors, huh?
Yes, the directors, and it's by people who knows the stuff.
3 directors, 3 writers.
Yes.
Like it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
There's so many things going on in this movie, guys.
So many.
This oh my God, this movie is awesome. I tell you right now, it doesn't matter if you're a comic book fan, if you're a MCU fan, if you're a Spider-Man fan, if you're a nerd, or even if you're a poser, it doesn't matter. This movie is for everyone, man.
Heck
Like,
yes.
just go in and have fun. And even if you haven't watched the first one, maybe you're gonna miss some character growth because this is
a
I
direct
was-
sequel.
a direct sequel to the first one, and there is a lot of like core character building in this like thing. Like what I realized is that this entire series so far is that there are actually 3 main characters. As you might know, is of course Miles Morales, and then there's Gwen Stacy, and then there's Peter Parker. 3 of them are the main core characters, right?
It's Peter B. Parker. It's a different, there's a distinction there. It's just in the
Oh, I
credits.
didn't know
It's just
that.
say Peter B. Parker.
So if Peter B. Parker is 616.
No. Peter B. Parker is the one that we're focusing on in the Spider-Verse movies right now. And from what I read, it's like actually the character itself is like an amalgamation of all the Spideys that have happened so far. All of the
Okay.
Peter Parker that happened so
Yeah,
far.
that would explain some of the changes, mannerisms, and even his voice. His voice is very distinctively different. I mean, like throughout the Spider-Man releases, in like the video media, yeah, his voices are like the voice actors are different, but his voice is it has this somewhat young adult voice even when he's in his 30s and 40s.
Yes.
But this one he feels old distinctively, which doesn't mean a good or bad thing. It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still beyond all that, Miles Morales is still the most important character, and he really shines through. Early on in the movie, it is like introduced to us by Gwen Stacy.
Played by my other B right now, Henny Steinfeld. Alright.
And I think she like I mean she brings a lot to the table that she does the intro. Like later on in the movie, you're gonna see that again, when I said that this movie have three core characters, main characters, I think this movie focuses more on her, but doesn't change the fact that Miles Morales is like the big factor in the whole in all of this. When you said Lego, it kind of give me Lego vibes in the sense that you have the main character, right? He's just he kind of feels like a vehicle for the story to go along, but at one point the movie reminds you that no, he's the main character. He's the heart of the whole thing. This entire thing wouldn't happen without Miles Morales.
Yes.
And oh my god, this is such a wonderful arc. I love like this movie having so much chaos, but at the same time there are like dramatic moments, and there are like pondering moments where the characters can think about what just happened, and they discuss a lot of stuff, not in the sense in the CW sense, in an actual sense,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like a typical good solid character building dialogues. I like the relationship between Miles and Gwen and Peter B. Parker and his parents. There's more of his parents in this one, and
Yes.
I quite like that. And it's not just him being like the highlight, and Gwen, also the villain, like, oh, I would say the villains, in the sense that, as I said, a better term would be antagonist.
Antagonist. Yes. Yeah.
So this movie features like a relatively unknown villain to me, who's apparently like is a long time villain, is that he kind of appear sporadically throughout the Marvel Comics publication,
Mm-hmm.
and he was never like taken seriously within the context of this movie. Also, Miles didn't take him seriously, which is like
So meta.
uh
Meta in a way.
meta in a way, and it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. And if you want to know more about him, I would recommend this video by Comic Drake.
Comic
Sorry,
Drake. Yes.
yeah. We watched it yesterday. It's pretty good. It's like a brief history of the character Spot. Um,
Yes.
and then there's, oh god, it's just gonna be my favorite part is Miguel O'Hara,
Oh yeah.
uh uh uh, uh O'Hara
O'Hara.
O'Hara, played by Oscar Isaac. Perfect casting.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
returning character actually from the post-credit scene of the first movie.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2099, is it?
Yes.
Alright. That's something to say.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the dramatic beats, and if you notice, because this movie is initially announced, I mean it is basically one movie split into two. So we already know that it was originally announced as Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. So with that with that precedent, we know what to expect, and because of this also, it gives them ton of breathing room to like build up relationship, build up rapport between characters, even more so than the first one, which feels like, I don't know, like I remember seeing one of these cartoon series that I used to adore. It's called Extreme Dinosaurs.
Okay.
So in that show, I was like, I would. My nostalgia is telling me this is a very good show because it has all the cool dinosaur designs and everything. And then we actually at one point I revisit the series again on YouTube
As an adult.
as an adult. Oh god, nostalgia is a pile of crap. I would say
It's a fickle thing.
because when I actually saw it, it's like, what? A bunch of origin things happen within the span of like 5 minutes. Like it just evolves. What just happened? That is basically the first movie. That's what it was. Everything is brisk pace, which is sometimes it works in the favor of the movie because it itself is trying to be frenetic and everything is happening very fast. But in the sense of building a narrative, no, I don't feel. I just like, it feels like it's catering too much for the kids in the first movie for personally. But in this one, they know they are capturing like a wider net of audience. Like there's like the hardcore nerds, the comic book fans, and even simple kids who like look up to Spider-Man.
and parents who might vet Spider-Man to as being probably a suitable idol for the kids. So it's a wider net of audiences this time, and that translates to the even more introduction of the more spider people. So yeah, they taking their time is very good in this one because this is a two-parter movie, so they have the chance, the space to develop more of the characters, which is very good.
And they took that chance.
Yes.
And they did not flounder this. This is not some stupid, pengupdate Setan 2 shit. This is like they actually want to make an actual movie. It feels like good, on its own, and it can stand on its own feet, but at the same time it gives way to the second movie.
Yeah.
It feels like it's like you eat food instead of you feel half feel you like you know you feel half full, you feel fulfilled with this one.
Yes.
And yeah, but there's still some lingering problem in the sense that just like the movie Dune, of course, this is kind of not finished like in the literal sense, because
Yes.
that's how it is designed to be. So yeah, manage your expectations with that one. I really like the side characters. I mean, you've seen the trailer. I'm not talking about like them, all of them. I'm just talking about like
The one that featured more than the others.
yeah, this is like like the the Penny Parkers, the
Spider-Man Wow.
Spider Noahs, like there are like a set of characters, a smaller set of characters that we get to focus on, and they are freaking awesome, and it
Yes.
reminds me of one thing, one fact is that okay, they doing their own thing. They are like they fight in varying different styles. They have varying different personalities.
And slight modifications in the origin stories.
Yeah. Despite having similar names, whatever. And the thing is though, it is easy to forget that yes, Miles Morales is the main character, and the three is the core characters of the entire franchise of the Spider-Verse, right? But you have to remember that all of these Spider-Man and Spider-Women, they are individuals.
Yes.
They are like, they may share similar names, similar traits, and some of them are not even Peter Parkers. Like, come on, obviously, Gwen and Miles is not, right? So most of them Peter Parkers, yes, but a lot of some of them are not, you know. But despite that, they are all Spidey. You have to remember, in the sense of, in their own world, they're the only Spider-Man. They're the only Spider-Woman in their own world.
Yeah.
And then they get get to know that that there's a place where they are all they can gather together, and there are multiple of them across the multiverse all along, and it is like, it may be like a surprise for some of them, but a lot of them catch on real quick. And um you know think of it like, if you have a main character, a good main character, you want an active character, right? Not a passive character. Like, they will keep moving, right? And this is not just like keep moving in the sense of like everybody is just a cog in the wheel. No. Each of them is the main character. Meaning that if you want to take right now, you want to take one, Spider-Man, and then like make the story goes around them, it can still work. It doesn't have to be Miles Morales. That's
Yeah.
and that's like, there's even like one particular character that works as like a, if it wasn't for him and what he does in the rebellious way, like the story can continue on, and there won't even be a part 2. You will know when you see it, man. Yeah, how about the fights?
The fights, of course, being Spider-Man, they're like being. I mean, I don't know about the fights. The fights are awesome, of course, but I like it when there's chase scene. It's all about the chase scenes. This one, I think.
Oh, the chase
The
scene.
chase scenes are like massive because they have like all these different multiverses, and they're like most of them are very vast and everything. And as this, I think the one I remember the most hectic is, I think, is in Mountbatten,
Alright.
Mountbatten, India. The Spider-Man India universe. Yeah, that's like, it's crazy. And even in the Nuevo York, the headquarter of the Spider Society, during a particular scene somewhere, like towards almost the end of the movie, it was like very, very hectic, and then it's just so much craziness going on in very short time. I'm
Yeah.
like, how the hell are they managing this? What the
And that too,
damn?
like okay, in the first movie there may be like multiple Spider-Man, right? They all look very different, they have different art style a bit, right? But in this movie there are so many. Like some people would say it's too much,
Yeah,
but me, this is like organized chaos. Because for example, I when I remember the first time I played the game Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I really appreciate so much because I like the other game, like the Jump Force, is it?
Jump
That's
Force.
terrible game that they have gatherings of like many shonen anime
Shonen
get
Jumps, yeah.
shonen
Shonen Jump.
Jump Force, is it?
Yeah,
If I,
Shonen Jump. That's what's called, Shonen Jump. So different franchises within the Shonen
yeah,
Jump
yeah.
umbrella.
And
Yeah.
the game is really bland and they have one art style that looks stupid. Whereas Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it's like you're playing the anime. Before that, it's just copium. It's just like
Cool.
um just like a bunch of 2D characters, and even when it's 3D, it's like low poly 3D, and you're just like, oh yeah, I guess it's kind of like the anime. But no, when the game, this from the same creators of like Strife, Guilty
Guilty
Gear
Gear,
Strife,
The
Guilty
Guilty
Gear
Gear
Strife,
series. Yeah.
um like you can see like the anime, you straight up move the anime as if you're telling the story while you're playing.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. While in this, in this Spider-Verse thing, there's a lot of people from different like background, and then there are like a very, very recent Spider-Man
Yeah.
that enters the fold.
Very recent, yeah.
The like Spider-Rex, is it?
Spider-Rex, yeah, Spider-Rex. That's
Man,
very recent.
that's very recent, and then he got in, and then there's like a bunch of your favorites. Of course, there are others that I would like to see being in there that are not in there, which we will get into in our spoiler-filled review.
Alright. Yeah.
like hint, like we're not gonna tell you everything now, but hint, everything is canon.
Alright. Okay. In terms of visual diversity, I think. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know, the immersiveness and how you're controlling. Like, you feel like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the world, and it's very unique and I don't know, very frenetic, whatever. In terms of visual, the diversity, think something like I think a better representation of the visual style of this movie is, think the Adventures of Gumball or something.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's like
Uh-huh.
you could have, like, let's say, like a blob, but the blob is claymation, and then you could have like a robot, but the robot is I don't know, like 8-bit Nintendo kind of pixels. So that's the how they mesh those things together in one big canvas, and they just splat them paint all over that. It's like gorgeous. And yeah, this one, yeah.
Yeah, it can like, steering on a whim, it can become overwhelming. And I gotta say, to me, it kind of does. But I don't hate it because it still feel very cohesive because of the concept that they're going for.
Yes.
They are from their world, from whatever medium they are brought into here. Even like one of the villains, like I don't want to tell you the secret fight they have. And my brother wore like the right shirt
Oh
for the right
shit.
movie. Oh
Yeah,
my god,
that
it's so good.
that was,
But
whoa.
so when where you have these different art styles, right? It's supposed to be jarring, but the way they fight each other is very fluid. It's like it's not one of those like terrible intermixing of different what do you call it, not just dimensionals, the dimensions,
Dimensions.
right? Like, a good example of a really bad movie that is terrible like this has got to be Space Jam 2.
Space Jam
Oh
2.
my god, it looks so bad. But in this movie, they look so good.
It
So
feels as fluid as the precursor of Space Jam, which is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
yeah, so
Yeah.
even if like, some of them are like 3D or 2D, they can, I mean, that most of them are 3D, right? So when they exchange punches, it really looks like they exchange punches. And
Yes.
there's also like like a bunch of comic book trivias. They have it like in the corner,
It's
like
like,
a
yeah,
like a box.
like a
It
dialogue
explain
that, yeah, like a text box. Yeah.
it kind of explains some concepts, like this one fight where the villain have like the weapon come out just like that. That's like some term that explain it. I have to rewatch it again. I have to
That's
pause.
because it's so fast.
If I have Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem there. That's why I think this movie is good. It's not perfect. But when it comes to the fight itself, it's very fluid, and it feels like they are on like the same dimension. That is cool. So you know what I mean? They move. It can be kind of like, it's not jarring, but it can kind of make you feel kind of dizzy. But if you can keep up, I imagine if you can totally keep up, if you have a really like good attention span, or maybe really enough, if you have a short attention span, you can just like, oh, look at this, look at that, like you can just like catch up.
Yeah.
And then there will be like so much more fun. And I envy you if you can do that. But as for like a person like me, or normal like me, once you can kind of like focus on what's going on, it's okay. It's really like, wow, this all these different styles, and they just come together, and the movie moves along like really wonderfully, man.
And to contrast all the craziness, sometimes there are moments of tender and, of like, I don't know, a little bit of zen in the visuals. For example, maybe like one of the shots where, this is not really a spoiler, but I'm just describing what happened there. So the two characters, they just sit upside down, and then they're looking overlooking a vast cityscape, and it was zen at that time. And also, this is when another one that I think in particular plays, and I just love it so much how they play with it. It's like when they visited Gwen Stacy's universe. uh it's a very, I don't know, it's like a mood ring, I think.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like very, when some kind of emotional beats is happening, the visuals really complement the emotion that is happening.
because it's like I don't know, is it watercolor?
Yeah, watercolor.
And then when she,
sad,
it's like the background drips slowly, like it's
sad,
along with her.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And again, it might hurt, and it might feel jarring for any other any other show, but in this movie, it really makes sense because you're not staying there for long, because
Yeah.
you're gonna go to a whole other places. And whereas like a movie like Mom, for example, wants to, when you go to that other world, you want to immerse in what makes sense to that other world, right? But because that's live action, they try to make it as realistic as possible, which sometimes they fail.
Yes.
But in this one, they don't have to be realistic.
Yeah.
They just have to give us the vibes, the feels. You know what I mean? That is the strength of animation, and this is playing at the strength, man.
This is like, I don't know, it evokes something like, I saw like the Sandman comic book covers. I Google it. It looks very like abstract and everything, and even something along the lines of the Metal Gear Solid uh artist, Yoji Shinkawa, and maybe a little bit of Final Fantasy Yoshitaka Amano, especially the logo designs of Final Fantasy. It's very brush strokey, and
Oh yeah.
it's like, oh my god, I'm like, this is in the case of when people argue when the movie is art, this is art. Every single frame, if you have a, I don't know, like a 8K video release of this movie, maybe in the future or something, you can just pause at any frame, make that your wallpaper. It's just that good. It's just that beautiful looking. You can appreciate it. Yeah.
So the movie in terms of structure is a little bit jumbled up.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's just because it's not following the 3x structure all that much. If anything, it feels like a 2x structure kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because something happened, there's like a turning point, of course, in the second act, and it feels like it just blends into the third act
Yeah.
without it being a separate act. Um,
So it's a 2.5 act,
yeah,
basically.
but it works for this movie because again it is building a bridge to a second movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like, you know, they can take the creativity because it's like, for one, the 3XIT is just a suggestion, you know. For two, you have to understand the structures to even bend or break the rules, so that when you do it, it kind of makes sense for the case you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the case for this movie. So I appreciate it a lot. And you know what else I appreciate? Again, the villains, man, the antagonists. Oh my god.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
love
Fawn over them. Fawn over them.
I love again Miguel O'Hara, especially and Spider-Man 2099.
Played by Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, oh my god. He has really like a really strong presence in him. He is his body build is very structured, and yeah, although his costume design is kind of dumb, like with the thing, it doesn't do anything in the entire movie.
Not yet.
Not yet
Nothing
at least.
practical yet.
The team yet. But the way he fights feels very him, just like the rest of the Spider-Man. And he acts with like full of intent. Every movement counts. It's very precise because he's the only Spider-Man that is not funny. He doesn't crack jokes. That is just not him. That's not his personality.
Yes.
Which it's not like I don't appreciate the ideas. I appreciate this as well, you know, because everybody is themselves. Again, like you can make him the main, you know, the main character. You know, like just like Thanos is Infinity War, for example, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like the, he is the kind of character that you can't wait to see again, even when you don't see him in the frame. It feels like he's always there. He's always, you know, omnipotent about what's going on. Even though it's not, he just gives you that vibe. And somehow it kind of feels like there is a lingering feeling that you're watching him despite how he conduct himself. He fancies himself a leader. It feels like he doesn't pull the strings. It feels like he's answer to someone else or something else. And I don't know what. And I kind of have an idea, which I may talk about later. Um, as for the other villain, Spot, oh god,
Spot.
he is like when he started off, he was trying to steal for an ATM. You're supposed to be like a, you know, supposed to grab it and go. And if I can explain his power real quick, it's like there's a bunch of holes in his body, and those holes are
Portals.
portals, right? If I can compare him to how his ability works, it's like kind of like, I think if I'm not mistaken, his name is Bueno or Bruno or something. Which Luffy fought in One Piece. Luffy fought in Ennis Lobby. Yeah, you can put the clip here, you can. And yeah, so that like he you can use the portal, right? So when he punches a portal, let's say in his chest, right, and then he make another portal appear on that wall there, like because he punched his chest here, the hand will come out of that wall there. So you can kind of see how it takes so much skill to use his ability, and it is very daunting and a double kind of a double-edged sword, especially when things get very chaotic, and it it does. And the thing is, just like the mirror dimension concept in Doctor Strange, um that there is like a in the middle dimension, the time's not moving, right?
Yes.
So you can, if you want, technically sleep and gather energy there. For example, you can learn a lot of stuff. And what I want to focus on is on the second thing. So when Spot started to understand his powers more and more, he was like moving at a rapid pace on how he is using his ability.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
by the time you get to India, he's very very strong. Like he straight up take care of like 4 Spider-Man on his own. And if you really think about it critically, he has a porter, right? So when he goes through it, he can just go to like a different space, right? But he learns some kind of way to also travel to time. So he goes to different places and different time. In all of those times, he could have trained at one place or another and honed his skills along the way. So with experience and with enough practice, he can be really strong, and it does show. There's a bunch of franchises that do it wrong. Like if I remember, is it Magi? Is it like feels like most of the characters are they got to their super saya level a little bit too fast, and we don't see them training and move on to the evolution state. But this guy, even though you don't see him, you can kind of understand. And the interesting part about Spot is that when he can move to space and time a bit, it's kind of like what the people in the organization that Miguel O'Hara is a part of can do. So it makes him, even though an unknown villain at first, a very formidable opponent.
So yeah, I think the way he progresses his powers at such a rapid pace, it really reminds me of the better multiverse movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, in the main villain of the
Oh yeah,
movie, Jobu Topoki, I can remember that name, yeah, the way she was having being like similarly. I mean, not similar. I mean, that character was tortured at her original universe, so much so that she's like, screw everything, I'm gonna be the most powerful being and omnipresence in all of multiverse. So in a way, Spot is like that, but he's the loser here. I mean, loser as in he's like, oh man, I'm worthless. Must not is looking at me. I'm a loser. Then he discovers that, oh, I can be powerful. So yeah, in a way, but the rapid pace is similar to that
I would
character
say
in Everything
because that
Everywhere
he's
Once.
losing, that he's so strong. Because when you're losing so much, when you hit rock bottom, you have nothing to lose. Yet when once you see the character as nothing, so that you won't get confused, right? He doesn't wear a costume. All of it is his skin. He
Yes.
lost everything. You cannot get a job looking like that no matter what you try to do.
Yeah.
You just cannot. In the comics, you find a way how to do that,
Mhm.
but I don't think they're going for that version. And again, because this character is so changed toward the publications in the Marvel comics. In this one, he's like a chameleon. He can just like be anything that they want him to be, and the rules are very clear what once you start watching the movie. And yeah, he mentioned the movie Everything Everywhere at Once, which I think still is superior in terms of how they explore the time and space continuum. But in terms of like in the context of this movie, they kind of have to hold back that thing, dial it back a bit, simply because they need to establish a base somewhere, right? And there are so many fan service you have to do,
Yes.
which kind of hold this movie back a bit, because man, like the entire concept, you know, of this thing is like, what if there's like a bunch of Spider-Man in one movie, right? We all want that. We always wanted that. And because we have a lot of like movie snobs, right? It was never possible until
Yeah.
now, until when the Into Spider-Verse was made, right? And we've seen that. But it is taken to a bigger scale, a much more bigger scale, might I say a bigger web of connection.
Yeah.
That sometimes they have a little bit more than they can chew. Only if we look at it in context as, you know, if in the context of like, let's say, a typical movie snob, right? Oh,
Yeah.
this is not a movie, this is a theme park, whatever, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, maybe I am kind of conflicted at this, but I kind of want to see this more as a Spider-Man fan as opposed to a film buff.
Yeah.
Because if I watch it as a film buff, I'm gonna start go to comparison land. I'm gonna start to say like how this movie is not as good as it, which I did, right? I said everything everywhere all at once is better. But on the other side, it's like, dude, this movie must do the fan service because it wouldn't exist in the first place if it wasn't for this concept. So why not explore the concept even if it has to clash with the ideals of what a movie is supposed to be? But then again, like the first picture movie is as it's like a guy on a horse, and later when the first one that is like sold in the cinema is like,
Or even shown, I'm not sure if it's shown. Yeah, it's shown in cinema. Yeah.
yeah, the movement of a train, and everybody was like, oh my god, there was like a giant spider. They literally used a spider and some small diorama of a city, and they make him look really gigantic with like an illusion, right?
They thought
And
it
then
was sorcery.
they start to splice the picture of people running together with that, and things evolve over time, right? So who's to say that this is not the next evolution in cinema, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, right? Let's just entertain this thought, right? What if this is another thing? Maybe this is not a movie. Maybe this is another thing. So to me, movies like this are not killing cinema. You don't have to watch it. And you can still watch The Last Duel if you want to. Like, nobody is stopping you. You
Yes.
can watch both even.
Yes.
So there's no reason to hate this, or like a reason to stop anyone from watching this.
Yep.
And there's no reason to deprive yourself from watching this. You can watch Dunkirk and you can watch this too. You can enjoy all of them. Like, why not? And this movie
Yes.
made it possible even more so than the first one. And it is a beautiful thing. And like, I took my time until Fast Five was I like, maybe I should give this a chance. And I didn't have any chance to watch it until Hobbs and Shaw comes out. And I watched all the other movies to get to to get into the know for that, which is kind of pointless, by the way, if you don't know. It's because it's a very light-hearted spin-off. In fact, maybe if you want to go into Fast Times, you can just watch Fast 9 first, whatever. Like, none of or the ones before really matters all that much. um and in this movie, they make it so that, yeah, you can only you all you need to do is watch the first one and you can totally understand this one. Like, kids can watch this, the adults can watch this, teenagers can watch this, everybody can enjoy this. This is so beautiful. This is such a beautiful gift to humankind, man.
Yeah, and yeah, this is like one of those movies where it's bridging the gap of art and cinema, just like Dune would. And
Yeah.
the sequel is coming. Ah man, I can't wait this year. So yeah, it's like they find a way to like make a strong story with the beats that you would expect to make a movie good, which is emotions and high stakes and personal relations and you know characterisms isms of the characters. All of that is like in spades, I think. But still, because it's just half of movie, I can just throw it in the high regard because I need the full experience to like, you know,
Yeah.
really big soak in the greatness of the multiverse,
Yeah.
the Spider-Verse.
That's the thing. As a Spider-Man product, it makes you full, you know.
Yeah.
But as a movie, you know, it kind of left something to be desired, which is the second part to make a whole. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's not like they can just make it all in one movie. It wouldn't be possible. The scale is just too big. It's
So
just too
yeah,
gigantic.
I'm glad they didn't brush it off. I mean, breeze through it just like the first movie. They're really taking their time. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is, and the thing is too. the biggest mystery to me in cinema, no matter what the genre is, it's always been screen time. Sometimes a movie has a long like screen time, a total runtime, right?
Yeah.
But it's like there's not enough exploration of a lot of aspects. But in this movie, it's like they explored everything. It's magical how they can still make it feel like the story about the three core characters, and then even more so, Mas Morales in a certain extent. Also, just for this movie, a Gwen movie. It kind of feels like everyone is the main character. And I don't know how they manage to delegate the time, but it works. The screen time for everyone is just ample. And then
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's like, it's such a mystery to me. It's so good.
How they do with the balancing act, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to me, screen time is always going to be like something of a mystery to me, because when you watch it, you won't feel it if it's good, and even if it's not good, that's because they intend it not to be good. And when the things are explored, sometimes it doesn't feel like the second counts. It just feels like the moment counts.
Yeah.
In terms of like when you look at the clock, if you clock watching, sometimes they explore, they don't use as much time, the duration is not that long for the scene. But if it's developed, like this movie, somehow they make it like for example, one of my favorite movies in the MCU is Civil War, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the movie, it's called Captain America Civil War. It's not Avengers Civil War. Why is that? Because it's Captain America's war. And at the core of it, it is the story of Bucky and Captain America, right? So when you get to that point where, oh my god, this is, yeah, at the end of the day, that nothing else matters. It's just the relationship between these two. They just happen to have to fight a war to understand that. And I think that is very beautiful, and very like such a cool thing they were able to do, because in the original comics, it is biggest civil war, right? There is like there's like a bunch of people fighting, right, including character called Typeface, where a bunch of letters on his body, like he's for real, he exists, right? But you know what? Who didn't exist in Civil War in the comics? Bucky Barnes. Yeah, he didn't exist. There is no Winter Soldier at all found in the comics version, but they were able to make it in that movie that he is the core of it. And do you know who is in the Spider Verse as he is in the comics version of the Civil War? Letterface. What was it? Typeface. He's in this movie. Yeah, this movie has everything, including Typeface.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of like the sheer numbers of characters, and I think this one is feels earned the way they like throw in characters, because despite the sheer numbers, somehow like you say about screen time, they still got a moment to shine, even though in this nanosecond of the time that they have on screen, they throw their all in there. It's like, I don't know, maybe they got like some down in the dumps guy trying to make ends meet in the voice acting world somewhere, and then wanna be in a Spider-Man movie. Heck yes. So they putting it all, even though it might be just a 2 second line or something. It feels like that. This is a far cry from Ready Player One. Despite there's a core character, you don't focus on the core character. You focus on everything that is thrown in there. And then you're like, what is happening? You don't know what is happening at all in Ready Player One. Then, oh, it's about finding the Easter egg. Oh, that is the story.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
me, Wreck-It Ralph and Ready Player One are both disappointments.
yeah.
You want to go to comparison line a bit.
A
This
little bit.
one, they really like, again, like the fan service are aplenty, and everybody gets a spotlight, even if it's
Yes.
one frame.
Yeah, one. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
but then they can still tell the story. You know, Radio Player One feels so inorganic,
Yes.
and it's like a bunch of characters tagged on. It's like it's ambitious, but it has no drive. There's no passion behind it.
Yeah.
There's just an ambition of a studio. Like
Yes.
it's so baffling because that movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. Do you even know that Steven Spielberg who made Jaws
It could
made
be
that?
it could be
Yeah.
anyone who
It
directed
could be
that.
anyone. You
Yeah.
know, it might as well be Takeshi Miike or something.
Yeah, it feels like the Fortnite of movie.
Yeah, but not this one, man.
Yeah, not this
Across
one.
the Spider-Verse, whatever you like about Into Spider-Verse is here but elevated higher, man.
Way higher than
Dude,
it could
this movie, I think I want to watch it second time, man. I watch it in a press screening and then I want to watch it again with my cousins. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it if I have the time.
be. Yeah. Let's plug it in, man. This is I mean, yeah, I want to plug first. Despite being like a very like jump in quality from the first movie, a good jump in quality from the first movie, it's just not a full movie. I want more of it. I Next year cannot come soon enough, man. So with that in mind, I can only give it 8.5 out of 10. I want to give it a 9 or even 10 out of 10, but it doesn't feel fair to give it 10 out of 10 right now.
As for
Yeah.
me, like first I have
So
to also
8.5 out of 10.
justify this movie, right? That's also like the outro. Instead of it is a cliffhanger. But if you kind of feel like disheartened before going in because you don't want a cliffhanger, right? Just know this: they established the second movie so well. The outro feels like a prologue to the next movie.
Yeah,
The
that's
epilogue is a prologue, and to me, even though you kind of want to see the next one, but is you know it is what do you call it? They were able to conclude one part of it, whereas like many other movies fail, when the cliffhanger feels so much so like a sudden abrupt end. This one conclude and open up,
yes.
and despite all that I said, I'm gonna give it the same score that he did, 8.5. And this to me is just my premature score. This is not my full score. When the second movies come out, when the later half comes as a whole, maybe I revisit my rating for this movie and for that movie.
Yeah.
So 8.5 out of 10 for me as a premature score.
Yeah. That mine too. So 8.5 from both of us.
Time to go out now.
All right.